Good evening, everyone. Right, so we completed Potion Permit yesterday, so I am going to be starting a new game today. This is going to be just a slight kind of like interim because I'm really just waiting for Harvestella to come out, which comes out in about 10 days or so. So I was thinking the Potion Permit would have lasted a little bit longer, so I've got another game to just kind of fill in that gap. But before we start that, we're going to start off the Stream Raiders, which sadly is on a mega boss, which is probably not going to go down too well as the first battle of the stream. As we all know, it takes a few to actually get people in. Well, there we go. Okay, so we're going to be playing Steve Jackson's Sorcery, which is a fighting fantasy book. I used to own all of these books when I was a child, and I have very fond memories of playing through these. So this is the PlayStation version. So let's see what it's like. Okay, so I guess we're going to go with a female character. See if we can get the sound right. Turn it down just a little. You have walked the wilds of Kakabad through Kare? I don't know how you pronounce that. And the spiteful backlands all the way into Mampang. You have survived traps, thieves, serpents, and vengeful gods, and now it is here, the Crown of Kings. It is said the crown was never forged, only found, by Chalana the Reformer, a lowly foot soldier who became emperor of the Eastern world. Such is the power of the crown. The air around it crackles with influence. Take the crown, or shall we wait? Let's take it. Your destiny awaits. With the crown in your hands, you will be as powerful as Chalana. The goblins are arming, the giants are waking, and the birdmen carving cool daggers from stone. War will come, but you will prevent it. But then the image of the crown begins to flicker. You rush forwards. It's a trap! And startle yourself awake. You're alone, exhausted, in the little hut in the outpost settlement. Your unimaginable journey is not even a single step begun. Ah, it was all a dream. Part 1, The Shamatanti Hills. Okay, the music is quite loud for this, but the sound effects seem to be really low. I'll turn that up a little bit. It is sunrise. You dress, breakfast on bread and goat's milk, and collect the pack and sword from beside your bed. Okay, so we get our first choices here. Test the blade, pray for luck, leave the hut. Let's pray for luck. Before you leave, you close your eyes and raise a prayer to your spirit guide. This morning, it has the form of a panther, but what will it become once your journey truly begins? A great calm descends on you. Outside the hut, you hear the outpost settlement stirring into life. Test the blade? I guess we should do that. This feels kind of weird. It feels like the grayed out one is the one you're actually choosing. It feels like it should be the other way around. You pause to test the blade of the sword against your thumb. The blacksmith has done well. The edge is keen and draws a narrow line of blood. Nice. Time to go. Time then to depart. You lift back the flap of the hut and step into the early morning sunshine. Okay, press R1 to draw a path to the flag. Eyes follow you as you leave the hut and walk towards the great Shamatanti wall. The frontiers people of this tiny settlement are well aware of your mission. Well, I guess we should say hello. You turn to them and bow. Some smile in reply, but are too afraid to approach. Others make gestures of protection. You are going beyond the wall, so they believe you to be cursed. Oh, lovely. A man is waiting on the path to the Kantpani Gate, the final doorway between Unaland and the wilds of Kakabad. You recognise the sergeant of the Sightmaster Warriors. He holds out his hand. Greetings, Sergeant. He touches his forehead with 2 fingers. You are almost ready, my lady, he says. I have for you a gift from the king. 24 gold pieces. It is all we can spare this time. He holds a pouch. Hey, Jay. How are you doing? Hey, Yuki. I am very well, thank you. How are you all? Hope you're having a good day. You've probably only just woken up there, haven't you, Yuki? You're a bit of a night owl. Let's take it, because, we're probably going to need it, right? You accept the gift graciously. Thank you. You should buy some supplies before you pass the wall, the sergeant says. And you must collect your spellbook if you wish magic to aid you. Finally, should you wish to practice your swordplay, I will go 1 round with you. And he points with his staff towards the training ground. It's good to see you guys too. Okay, let's buy some... Oh, okay, that button. Buy some rations. I guess that's going to be something that's going to be important. I don't really remember too much about these particular stories. I mean, I was just a child when I played through these. I do remember you having to learn spells, though. Small traders in the settlement supply the Sightmaster warriors with weapons, armour, food and clothing. You go over with the sergeant to a stall selling flatbreads and cheese. This is actually making me feel quite hungry. I could quite happily eat some flatbread and cheese right now. 2 gold pieces per ration, the owner says. Let's get 2 rations. You just wanted to say that you could listen to me read a book for a long time and then get nice and cozy with a blanket. Oh, thank you. Well, this is exactly what you are going to be doing with this game, because it pretty much is just reading a book with a few choices here and there. Okay, let's buy 2 rations. You hand over your coins, and the man places 2 rations carefully into your pack. You must be sure you eat every day, or you will suffer, the sergeant tells you, standing at your side. Eating more will give you extra strength, but is not necessary. Okay, check the contents of your pack using the items button on the map. Items, okay, that's square. Let's have a look. What have we got? Oh, rations, weapon. Rations. 2 meals. Weapon. We have a sword. Treasure. We have 20 gold pieces left. Okay. Oh, see, the music is really, really loud. I don't think there's any settings to change this. So I feel like the music is quite loud, and I don't know if it's how it's sounding to you guys. Can you hear me over the music? Because the sound effects don't seem to be that loud. I don't think mute audio credits reset. I don't really want to mute the audio. Okay, let me know if the sound balance is not good, because I haven't streamed this before. Okay, so we've done that. Let's collect our spell book. Because from what I remember, spells are very important with this. One of the huts, set slightly back from the others, is decorated with glyphs and strange symbols. A terrible smell emanates from its doorway. This is the hut of the chief mage. He has been preparing your spellbook for days, reading star charts to work out which spells will be available to you in the different locations, in the hills and beyond. Do without the book, go inside? No, we definitely want the book, right? The horns are loud. Yeah, I don't. The problem is, I don't think I can. Are you talking about the horns in the game or the stream raiders? Because they have horns as well. No, nobody's playing stream raiders yet, I don't think. Okay, I'm going to turn it down a little bit. See how we go. You lift the flap and go inside. The mage looks up at you with haggard, sleepless eyes and presses the book into your hands. Do you understand how to use this? He asks. Why don't you tell me? Each spell is crafted through the alignment of 3 stars, he begins. The spell Zap, for example, is made by aligning Zarathustra, Aegis, and Peony. But that is not important. What matters is what the spell is called and what it does. Zap will give you control over lightning. Hot will create a fireball. Foff will create a force field around you. Shall I continue? Yeah, I think I've had enough. He scratches his ear absently. Remember, some spells will cost you effort to use, but the ones that don't will not work without a focus, an item of some kind. You'll need to read the book to know what. Research magic using the spellbook button on the map. Spellbook button, okay, that's triangle. This volume contains the 48 spells of the High Craft as discovered and passed down from generation to generation of sorcerers from the earliest days of the Eastern world. Each spell is formed of 3 letters, and each spell will take energy to cast. Furthermore, some spells will fail without the use of a particular item or focus. The 6 most useful spells. If you learned only 6 spells for your adventure, learn these. Zap creates a lightning bolt from the fingertip. Foff creates a protective force field. Law enables non-intelligent creatures to be controlled. Dumb makes creatures extremely clumsy. Hot creates a fireball which can be aimed at enemies. Wall creates an invisible wall. All these spells are extremely tiring and will cost you 3 points of stamina. More economical versions exist, though some rely on the caster owning particular items of power. Okay, so here we've got the list of all of the spells. So I'm just going to briefly skim through these. Big. When this spell is cast, the caster's own body will inflate 3 times its normal size. This increases the power of the caster. Walk will transform into an invisible metal shield. Dop. Oh, that's like door open, right? Raz requires beeswax. Your blade will become razor sharp. Sus. If already trapped, this spell may be used to minimize the effects in certain cases. This spell may be cast when the caster suspects a trap. 6. This spell is to cast onto the caster's own body and creates multiple images, all capable of casting spells. Jig requires a bamboo flute. When cast, the recipient will get an uncontrollable urge to dance. The caster can make any creature dance merry jigs by playing a small bamboo flute. We can become the Pied Piper, right? Gob requires a goblin tooth. This creation spell requires any number of teeth of goblins. The spell may be cast onto these teeth to create 1, 2, or an army of goblins. This reminds me of what is that film? Jason and the Argonauts, right? There's something to do with teeth turning into like fighting skeletons or something. Yob requires a giant's tooth. Casting this spell requires the tooth of a giant, and when cast will summon a new giant whom the caster may control. Gum requires a vial of glue. Oh, hold on a minute. The glue will become super sticky to stick creatures to the floor or walls. How? This spell is to be used in perilous situations when information about the safest way of escape is desired. Are you alright, sweetie? I don't. I've never used it. Sorry. Doc requires a medicinal potion. Medicinal potions will, while this spell is active, heal any creature who drinks them. Oh my goodness, there's so many of these. Does. This spell may be cast upon any creature, reducing its movement. Dud. By casting this spell, the caster can create an illusion of treasure. I'm guessing I need to kind of like pretty much at least have a vague inkling in my mind of all the spells that are available, but this is like so many. I'm never going to remember all of these. Mag. This spell protects its caster from most magic. Pop. A potent little spell, but one which calls forth great mental concentration. These explosions produce great force as well as a loud bang. Okay, I'm really hoping that we're gonna get some kind of clue as we're playing through this, because that's a lot to take in. Let's go and visit the training ground. You walk with the sergeant to the training ground, and he wraps the base of his staff in leather. Ready my sword. To begin, the sergeant says, we will practice the stances. First, defend yourself against me. Choose your attack power by dragging your character sideways. To defend, stay fully left. Okay. The Sightmaster is a powerful enemy. By defending, you will receive the minimum damage from any attack he makes. The Sightmaster Sergeant defends himself as well. The round is a stalemate. My next attack will be one of my strongest, he declares. If you can perform a full attack, you may overpower me, but otherwise you had better defend yourself. For a strong attack, pull your character to the right. To defend, pull your character to the left. I don't know. Should we defend? Shall we? I feel like we should defend if he's going to do a strong attack. You defend yourself again, building up your power for next turn. The Sightmaster Sergeant attempts a strong attack, but you receive only a small amount of damage. He will be weaker now, so his next attack will be lower. I will now defend myself, he says. Whatever attack you play will damage me, but a strong attack will use up more... I can't even see what that says. More what? Use up more... It's hiding behind the thing he's carrying. Power? I think that's more power. You should choose a weak attack. Okay, so maybe just like a jab. You swing with a weak attack, rushing for the Sightmaster Sergeant who is defending. Good choice. A stronger attack would have wasted more of your power. I will defend myself again, he says. So another weak attack. But come on, when you're fighting an enemy, right, they're not going to tell you, oh, I'm just about to hit you with a really strong attack. Oh, I'm going to defend now. Okay, I guess it's just the training though, right? You played carefully and won that round. Well done. I will make another stronger attack, he declares. Do you want to take a risk and try to overpower him, or play it safe and defend? I don't know. I don't know what is best. Let's defend again. You defend yourself. The Sightmaster Sergeant tries a strong attack. Your defense works well. His next attack will not be as strong. So... my next attack would be of medium strength, but you will be able to overpower me. So should we do a really strong one then? I don't know. Let's lunge. Whoa! You play a strong attack, overpowering the Sightmaster Sergeant. He bows. You have finished me. Excellent. I'm going to defend, now be warned. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's continue. I think we've kind of got the gist of that. Enough training. You shake your head. Very good, the sergeant agrees. But if you wish to bout in earnest, then I warn you, I will not go easy on you. He indicates the wider yard where there is space for a true match. Oh, okay, so we meant to fight him in the yard. Okay, let's go and do that then. You head over to the yard to practice a bout of real fighting. The sergeant removes the cloth padding from the base of his staff. I think that's the same as before, right? This time, I will not tell you my intentions, he says. You will have to read them for yourself. Be ready. Get the popcorn blanket out, for sure. How do you... Okay, I've got to read them for myself, but you haven't explained how I do that. How do I do that? I have no idea. How can I tell? I wasn't watching the character while I was reading. I don't know if there were any tells. I have no idea. Let's just defend. The Sightmaster bows to you, raises his staff in salute, and takes his position. You drop into a defensive crouch immediately. The Sightmaster is not to be trifled with. The Sightmaster Sergeant comes in with his strongest, most forceful attack. You escape mostly uninjured. So, they said before that after a strong attack, the next one wouldn't be strong. So we should go for something that's not too strong. In the next moment, the Sightmaster Sergeant is charging for you. Your own stroke is overpowered. What? That doesn't follow what the tutorial said. His own blow is of medium force, but enough to knock you reeling. The impact catches you in the stomach. A mutter goes through the crowd. The king is truly weak to send such a champion. Their words spur you on. Once more, and narrow your eyes at the Sightmaster. Your eyes follow your shoulders. He is probably about to defend. You release a strong hit. If you release a strong hit, it would be wasteful now. Okay, so we're going with just a small one. Okay, his guard is coming up, conserving his energy so his next strike can be stronger. I'm just gonna see what happens if I don't go for like. Oh, hang on. Oh, we've only got so many. I can't even go all the way up to the top now. So you have like, oh, it's attack power. So you have so much attack power you can use for the entire thing. Okay, let's go there. Relentlessly, you cut and thrust, keeping him pinned. You slash violently across his chest, but the blow jumps back off his lifted staff, and you only place a small bruise. He grimaces with effort. I saw that coming, he laughs, as he pushed aside your sword stroke, suffering only a minor wound. He shifts his grip to hold his staff more loosely. He seems to be preparing a simple jab, a chance to overpower him, perhaps. Maybe a guard helps you build power. I don't know. But I think so. We need to go as much as we can, but we haven't got that much attack power left. The Sightmaster Sergeant is ready to leap behind the cover of a nearby hut as you come at him again. The Sightmaster shakes his head. Not bad, he grunts, clearly weakening. We haven't really got. I'm going to defend. We haven't really got much attack power left. Mind you, neither has he. I think I'm just going to have to go all out. Oh, okay, so you're right. So if you defend, you start to get your attack power back again. So he was preparing before, right, to launch a... So I think we should defend again. You hold firm and keep up your defense, and he hangs back and watches you in return. You see his arm grow tense. He's ready for a strong attack. Oh, great. So we've got to defend again, right? I feel like this is taking a long time. You circle around him at arm's length as he attempts a strong stroke. Well done, he grumbles, panting from wasted effort. The base of his staff is moving protectively. So he's defending. So we should do a medium attack. Acting quickly, you cleave your blade mercilessly across his back, but the impact clangs against his weapon and you only land a light wound. He grimaces with effort. His breath begins to heave. He is struggling to stay upright. Right, now we're going to go all out, right? With clear-minded determination, you maintain the pace, keeping him off balance. You rush forward with a deep, heavy slash. It is enough to finish him. The Sightmaster throws down his staff. You have me, he declares, with a grin. Okay. I think I kind of got the idea of it now. The sergeant is gasping for breath. He bows to you once more. Not bad, he declares. But you need to cover yourself more, or the beasts of the kingdom will take you apart. As he talks, a nearby healer hurries over with a salve, and your health and the sergeant's is quickly restored. Okay, so we're off to the gate. You reach the foot of the mighty gate. It is sealed. The sergeant places one hand on the wood. The gate has been locked for some time to deter raiders, he tells you, but you will have no difficulty. The stars in this place allow the dop spell to be crafted, and he stands back. Okay, so we need to cast our first spell, which is the door open spell. Okay, so I'm guessing this is where the hint comes in, because you've only got certain letters that you can select. I don't think the entire alphabet is there, is it? Or maybe it is. Maybe if you keep going, I don't know. Okay, so we need D. O. Why is it not letting me put the O in? Oh, okay, it needs to be lit up. Okay, that's slightly awkward. And, P. Opens locks and doors, requires 1 sand mana. Okay, off we go. You weave the spell. One by one, the great tumblers of the door begin to creak and groan. The hinges turn, with a noise like hail on a canvas roof. These gates have not opened since our last champion was lost, the sergeant says. I wish you more luck than he. Perhaps you will even meet him on your travels. Okay, I fear he is dead. If I overtake him, then he is too slow. That does not concern me. Yeah, that does not concern me. The sergeant nods. Very well. Let's enter the gate. Together you step into the shadow of the wall. One last word, he declares. When you have the crown, find the highest point you can find. We will be watching. I understand. I will not wish you a safe journey to Kar, for the way ahead will not be safe, the sergeant murmurs, as he peers into the distance through the open gate. The Sightmaster warriors are selected from birth for their incredible powers of telescopic vision. You cannot help but wonder how far he can see. Oh, in that case, tell me what lies ahead. This path leads first to Kantapani, a settlement of traders, though most are rogues and thieves. You should be there before the sun has reached its peak. From there, 3 routes lead on to Kristatanti, but no single route is safe. Kokabad is a land of devils. And beyond Kar? I cannot see so far, he says, but once you have crossed the city port of traps, you will enter the backlands. They say that day and night there are controlled by forces other than the sun, and from Kar too your progress will be watched. It is time to go. Striding away, you pass through the gate. The faces of the folk watching your departure reveal the hopes that rest on you and your quest. The early morning air is crisp, and the rising sun paints the slopes in shades of peaceful beauty, concealing the evil that lies ahead. Okay, on to... Okay. Oh my goodness! You're right, Salty. I think Doom is probably quite appropriate here. I think we are on our way to our Doom. The path winds through slopes of wild scrubland. The countryside is deserted, the eerie silence is broken only by the cawing of the occasional crow. There is a spell for hearing what they say, but you do not have the equipment it requires. The birds appear to pause in the air to examine you as they pass. Stupid creatures, they pose no threat, so you ignore them. Okay, well, I only have one choice. We're going to keep walking. Barely an hour beyond the wall, and the air begins to grow foul. The Shamutanti Hills are infested with the pestilence of the backlands. It saps the energy from your body, leaving you feeling nauseous and weak. Cover my mouth, I guess, maybe? Wrap a bandana around it, I don't know. You cover your mouth with your neck scarf, but it does no good. They warned you of this. You will grow accustomed to it the longer you are out here, but for the moment you must be very careful. Ooh, your maximum stamina just decreased. You can see your stamina at the top of the screen. Oh, okay, yep. If this reaches 0, you will be too tired to carry on. Stamina can be regained up to the maximum by eating rations or resting. Okay, so we can either travel cross-country or across the low rise. Oh, we got Stream Raiders time. Let's pop over and do that. And 14 units, that's going to be an epic fail, I can tell already, because this is like the mega boss. You know, considering we didn't have many units, they're not doing too badly. Those epic ones out there are doing a pretty good job. I still don't think we're going to make it, though. Oh, no. Sorry, guys. Yeah, it's kind of a bit hard when you're starting off with like a boss right at the beginning of the stream. You guys probably can't hear that because the sound effects are really quiet, but it's like the crows are really loud in my ears from this game. There's just a real big difference between the sound effects and the music, though. It's not been balanced very well. Okay, I think we're going to follow the low rise. Another hour passes, and you crest a small hillock, from the top of which you can see a path continuing downwards into a small settlement of huts. This must be Cantapani. I think we'll have a look at the village. From this distance, it's hard to make out much about the town, except that it must be desperately poor. The fields on either side are brown with caked mud, and the few penned animals are thin and wizened like thirsty vines. No wonder the Sightmaster warriors don't trouble themselves to protect this place. There is nothing here to protect. Okay, that's sounding like a bit desolate and abandoned. Avoid the village or go to Cantapani. I don't know. I'm interested to see what's there. Of course, if you were scared of a town like Cantapani, then you could not hope to survive in Kakabad proper. You follow the path down into town. The round huts are made of a hard-baked, bright clay, and the roofs are thin thatched. As you pass, eyes appear at dark doorways, tracking your every move. For a moment it seems like this will be all you see of the town's inhabitants. But then a villager appears from one of the dwellings and blocks your path. You ready for another fight? Okay, so look at him, threaten him, push him out of the way, cast a spell. I don't know. I mean, it says he's blocking my path, but I mean, is that just because he wants to speak to me? I don't know. Look at him. He is 5 feet tall. They cannot grow much taller out here in this poisonous air. He has thick-set arms and thighs and is half-clothed in tattered breeches. His eyes are wild, and his long red hair and beard stand out from his face in a wiry tangle. "Halt, stranger," he commands. "What business have you in Cantapani?" beat him up. Let's go for I'm a hungry traveller and need to eat. He motions you on ahead. You'll find the inn in the centre of the village. It's run by a miller. There isn't much there, but you'll get something in your belly. Let's thank him. I thank you, you reply, with a slight bow. He bows in reply, but the movement looks awkward on him, like he was a performing bear. You stride on into the very centre of the village. There are a few larger houses here. Even Cantapani has its nobility, it seems. But the only spot of interest is a small inn offering food for sale. Well, let's enter the inn. My choice is no guts, no glory. I'm sure there'll be plenty of guts and glory as we go through. You head inside. The place is just a low table and a black iron pot above a stove. A woman watches you with wide, fearful eyes. Greetings. Are you a meller? How much are your provisions? 1 gold piece for the stew, she replies in a thin, hungry voice. But perhaps you want some food to take with you, seeing as how you're a traveller. We'll have some stew. I will take some stew. You pay a meller a gold piece, and she hands you a steaming bowl. The broth inside is a thick paste of lentils, spices, and hunks of meat, but it's not bad for all that. Once finished, you thank the woman and leave the inn. You head out of Cantapani and along the paths into the Shamatanti Hills. Hello, random strategy. How are you doing? Imagine actually being an able adventurer instead of just a murderer. A noble adventurer. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I kind of feel like you should give people the benefit of the doubt until they actually, step out of line. I mean, you could, I would imagine also that there's going to be more than one playthrough. You're not always going to. When I've played these kind of things before, you quite often die a lot. So I think sometimes you might have to play it the other way as well. Right, let's see. Past Cantapani. Striding past the outlying huts, you send the villagers rushing indoors to hide. Then at the edge of town, you pass a large boulder, and at once 2 rough-cut villagers spring out with swords drawn. Bandits. 2 against 1, the first declares. You're lost, calls the other. So hand over your things, come on. Can we not cast a spell on them? Hand over your backpack, reason with them, deal with these curs. Well, I'm sorry, but they're not really giving me much choice. They started on me first, right? You draw yourself to your full height. You have mistaken me for someone else, you declare. I would like to give you a moment to reconsider, because I will kill you if I have to. The bandits growl and advance on you, 1 on either hand. Oh, we do get to cast a spell. Let's do that. I don't remember what spells we need, though. Cast a spell. Let's have a look at our spell book. Can we do that? Okay. No. Can I not look? Can I not look at the spell book? I can. Okay. Let's have a look and see if we can find something that's going to be useful. So there's 2 of them. So we can, zap them with lightning. Create a protective force field. Creates a fireball which can be aimed at enemies. Maybe the fireball sounds good. Let's, oh, hold on. Oh, there we go. Can we cast a fireball? So we need an F. Hold on a minute. What was... Actually, I don't even remember what the fireball was. FOF was the force field. That wasn't... hot is the fireball. Okay. You start casting spells, the game automatically reads the spellbook entry right before casting. So we need an H. Doesn't seem to be one. Does this mean that it's a not a suitable spell for this situation? I don't really know how this works. Okay, this is making me dizzy. I don't know. Maybe we can't actually go for that spell. Maybe we need to go for something else. These controls are not inverted. I'm used to playing with inverted controls. This is a bit... Yeah, I have no idea what I need to go for. I'm going to have to look at the spellbook again. Because the spell I was wanting to cast, I don't think I can. Maybe I should use a force field? I don't know. We could try that. I think it's FOF, right, for a force field. I really feel like I want to do some damage to them. You cast the spell, raising an invisible force field around you. Try as they might, the bandits cannot harm you. They cannot even get close. Realizing the power of your sorcery, they quickly flee back to the village. This is a stroke of luck, as the force field does not last long. You continue along the path, leaving the village behind. About half an hour later, you reach the start of the climb into the hills proper and continue upwards. Leaving Cantapani behind marks the true start of the wilderness. Beyond that tiny outpost, there are scattered homesteads and Kar as thriving city port, but all are touched by cruelty, isolation, and fear. The backlands and the long shadow cast by the Mampang fortress darken everything. And with the crown gone? And with the crown stolen, things can only grow worse. In the long years since Chalana, the reformer, founded the alliance, the crown has been passed from kingdom to kingdom every 4 years, ensuring each one has its turn to lead, but no more. Ruddleston, Lendelland, Galantaria, and Bryce have all enjoyed its power, but not Analand. But when the crown came to Analand, it was stolen by birdmen from Zaman and carried off to Mampang. With the crown, the Archmage will be unstoppably powerful. There is no chance of sending an army against him. A military force would not survive the journey. So here you are, a lone adventurer walking the long path to Mampang alone. 5 minutes later, you reach a fork in the road. The sergeant, for all his eyesight, hadn't mentioned this. The road splits around the base of a gigantic tree, but does not rejoin on the other side. The left path winds down into a valley, and the right rises up a slope towards the first thick forests of the hills. What the right goes up. Let's look left. You pause to consider the lower route. There is a river there, and the path follows the left bank. It is a safer route, secluded and protected, but the curve of the landscape would mean you are almost backtracking. Okay, let's have a look at the other way. It's hard to see much further uphill. The forest is sudden and thick, and the path narrow. It may be hard going in that direction, but the hills will involve a lot of climbing eventually, and you may get a decent view of the next leg from the top of the ridge. You're about to make your choice when you hear a faint cry from somewhere close at hand. Oh, let's have a look around. You look around, then finally up into the branches of a tree, a pair of wizened, calloused feet dangling down over your head, about to drop on you, perhaps. Who's there? You call. The voice cries again, a little more boldly this time. Up here! Help! Help! I can't get down! It is the voice of a feeble, wiry old man. Stepping back a little, you can see him clearly, as thin as sticks and dressed in dirt rags. Oh my goodness, look at the state of him. His hair. Help him down. What are you hiding from? Leave him. He's worthless. Oh, I guess we'll help him down. He doesn't look like he can do much damage. Swinging yourself onto the lowest branch of the tree, you reach up and grab the old man by the waist. He is as light as a leaf, and within a moment you have lifted him to the ground. Thanks for that, he remarks, brushing himself down and almost knocking himself over in the process. I was just starting to get a bit, perturbed, but I'm on the safe now. He seems remarkably confident, considering that the slightest stumble might break him into bits. Plot twist, the old man is a boss fight. Hey, Gartrell, how you doing? I see you have arrived. Right, what will you do now? What do I get in return? Leave him. What will you do now? Keep going for Analand, he says. That's where I set off from. While back now. You wouldn't believe the story if I told you. Suffice to say, though, if I know my eyes from my eyes, you're heading out to Mampang, and you'd better be smarter than I was. And here, he presses a page into your hand. It is a page torn from a spell book. This might be of some use to you. I found this, just found it, mind, and don't go asking how, but it's no good to me anymore. I'm really good, thank you. We finished Potion Permit yesterday, so we're just doing something a little bit different. A bit different from what I normally stream. We're actually waiting for Harvest Dale to come out. I was expecting Potion Permit to kind of last until like the weekend at least. But yeah, so we're just playing this to fill in until Potion Permit comes out. Yeah, I think we should take it really. Should we look at the page first though? You look the page over suspiciously. It seems to be half of a spell that might have been used for pest repulsion, but it is unworkable in its current state. Well, I think we should keep it anyway. We never know. We may find the other half. You take the page and thank him. The man falls quiet and squats down on the ground. With his jabbering done, you hear a buzzing sound from high up in the tree. A beehive. Oh, come on. Beehives, this has got to be bad, right? We all want the sweet, sweet honey, but I don't want to get stung by like a million bees. But I just feel like I have to climb up and investigate. It's like a Gart trail. It's like when you do Palace of the Dead and you've revealed all of the traps. You can see there's a trap on the floor and it just makes you want to stand on it. You know it's going to hurt, but you just got to do it right. Leaving the old man sighing with gratitude on the ground, you climb up through the branches of the tall tree. Okay, to the beehive. The beehive hangs like a ripe fruit from the very highest branch. A huge number of bees dance in and out in a swarm. Use magic? Oh. I don't know. Is there something can we get something good from this beehive? I don't know. On the first playthrough, it's often good to try everything. That way you know whether it's worth it or not. That's a really good point, actually. I can see you're very strategic. I think we should maybe use magic, or should we climb higher and get a bit? I don't know. I feel like we've got the element of surprise. If we climb higher, they might see us. I think we could just go straight for using magic, but I need to check out the spellbook first. Zap. Can we zap them? That might be good, right? Law enables non-intelligent creatures to be controlled. Fireball? I don't know. Maybe any of those probably could be good. Okay, let's go with use magic. You get your balance enough to free your hands for a spell. Okay, so we can do zap. Should we try the zap? I think we're going to try the zap. The way to cast a spell is not to look in your spellbook because 90% of the time you won't be able to cast the spell you picked. Okay. Instead, you should check what spells you can cast, then pick the one you want from the available spells. Okay. But I've got a really bad memory, so even just seeing the letters floating around, unless it's like something like this that is really easy to remember, I'm probably not going to remember them all. Sorry about that, my dear. Just needed to get a throat sweet. I had a bit of a coughing fit. Lullaby is giving everybody in-game items from your game of choosing. Where'd you get this from, my Gartrell? Right, I'm almost ready. You see a lot of new players struggle on the mechanics of casting spells, but when you know how to do it, it's much better. Yeah, I'm sure it will, with practice, it'll become easier once you get the hang of it. I mean, I played these when I was a child, like the actual books, and you were meant to learn all of the spells. I mean, obviously you could cheat. You could easily just look at the back of the book and check your spell list, but the idea was you were actually meant to learn them all. Okay. You cast the spell, and a lightning charge shrieks along your arm and into the hive, which explodes in a fireball. Quickly, the whole tree is alight. You drop down in a hurry, leaving the old man shrieking with fear, and rush away from the blaze. Okay, so we just blew up our chance of getting anything from that, I guess. The high path, the low path. We're going to go take the high path, I think. The high route seems the most secure. In a valley, you can be easily observed from above and led astray, but out in the hills, you can go whichever way you choose. Of course, when night falls, it may be cold and exposed up on the slopes, but no matter. This journey was never designed to be easy. You begin the climb, letting the old man's jabbering fade quickly away. The path winds upward into the hills and into the cover of a wood. The afternoon sun glints through the trees and plays tricks on your eyes. Every so often you catch a glimpse of some strange-shaped animal or other watching you, only to find that it is a silhouette of branches and leaves caught at an odd angle. After an hour's walk, you are starting to feel very slightly hungry, but you might be wise to save your provisions. My stamina is on like 4. I'm pretty sure we probably should eat. It's not giving us the option to sleep. That only went 1. That's not very good. You clamber to the top of a low stone dolmen, then sit and pull out a quantity of your cheese and bread and eat. While admiring the view down the hillside through a break in the trees, you feel better for your rest. Time to move on. You stand and put on your pack, on which you had been sitting to prevent any creatures getting in or any of your things falling out. Then you return to the path. The climb continues, with the path twisting this way and that. The air grows cold, and the sun flickers on the horizon, and then sets, making it hard to see your way. But the moon is full, and when twilight is done, it will be bright once more. I think we should make camp, because I think we need to, I think sleeping recovers stamina. But to tie yourself out on the first day would be inauspicious. You settle down to make a camp for the night in a natural shelter provided by the roots of 3 gigantic intertwined trees. Your backpack will serve for a pillow and your cloak for a blanket. Before settling to sleep, you check through your pack. You have 1 meal's worth of rations left. No, we've already eaten. We're going to sleep now. You lay yourself out on the ground and are quickly asleep. The moon is full and high in the sky, and when you next open your eyes, you feel warm and more cozy than you did before, as if wrapped in a gigantic blanket. There is a pain in your leg. Okay, this doesn't sound good. Slowly you realize what is happening is a giant bat has settled on your chest and is feeding on you. Okay, that's pretty grim. You draw your sword slowly and carefully, hoping not to disturb the creature before you can run it through, but no such luck. It leaps back in alarm. Okay, if it's leaping back, it's not about to attack, so I don't know, should I just go full force? Or if it's defending, then maybe just like I don't know. The bat's great wings buffet at your face, making it hard to see. You slash out at the creature, hoping to cut off its wings as the bat dodges back, cutting with the hooks on its wingtips. The giant bat tumbles backwards into a tree in a crash of branches. It flutters upwards. I'm finding it difficult to judge what it's about to do. If it's fluttering upwards, does that mean it's about to like dive bomb me? Should we defend? You drop into a crouch. The giant bat screams through the air, but you repel it with your blade. You wait for the creature's wide wings to open and then you strike. Pushing off the tree behind, you thrust forward, but the giant bat closes its tough wings. The bat is flying erratically now. I don't know, I think we should just go full force. Another chance follows. You cleave the air with your sword. The bat falls to the ground, and the light in its eyes goes dark. Okay. The bat dead, you toss its carcass back into the woods, and now truly exhausted, you lie back. Okay, hopefully this will restore a bit more stamina. Once again, the crown fills your dreams, only now, instead of being hidden away in Mampang Fortress by the Archmage, you see it on the head of the burly villager from Cantapani. Anyone can wear the crown, he declares to you, but wearing the crown, you are no longer just anyone. And then he points a finger at you that seems to crackle with energy, and you find yourself drawn towards him, commanded to do his bidding. The woman from the inn is beside you. She spits at you when you look at her. Suddenly you are surrounded by angry bees. You are walking towards a crack in the ground. It seems sure to swallow you whole. You stumble at its edge, about to fall. It is not a great dream. The second day of your journey begins in the morning cool. Still halfway between sleeping and waking, you feel the presence of your spirit, the gorilla, close nearby. Its form has changed since you left Analand. just as you have changed, but it is still walking beside you. In the temple, they taught you that a prayer to your spirit could heal disease, lift curses, even save you from certain death. But the spirits are not generous and decline to help often. You can ask for the spirit's aid using the pray button. The dreams in this game are good. They always remind you about stuff that happened the previous day. You can feel yourself getting accustomed to the fetid air of these hills. You have now ascended several hundred feet and can expect to make excellent progress before the end of the day. As you crest the brow of a hill, you see something that makes you stop in your tracks. To your left is a clearing, and in the clearing are several poles planted firmly in the ground, and atop each pole is a head. Yeah, I'm inclined to keep going at this point. The heads are of all kinds and ages. Ugh, I keep forgetting the grey is what you're actually accepting, not the other way around. Some are recently fixed while others have decayed, and some are nothing but skulls and hair. There are human heads, goblin heads, one or two heads of creatures you do not recognize. All have sewn up eyes and mouths. A large X painted on a rock nearby is obviously intended as a warning not to venture any further. But ahead the road forks left and right, and you cannot be sure which path you are warned not to take. Well, that's handy. The right path continues to climb, and the left path winds down the hillside. I don't know. Let's go for the climb. The climb continues up the next hill for several hours until you are not far from the top. Then the faint sound of bustling activity reaches you, trampling feet, grunting voices, and the clanking of metal against rock. There is something ahead, hidden by the ancient trees that line the slopes. Well, let's follow the sound. You leave the path and continue through the woods. A short distance onward, you hide behind a tree and survey a clearing. A number of goblins are in the clearing, working at the mouth of an open cave. They trudge in and out of the opening carrying large bowls in their arms, piled up with glistening rocks and dull metallic nuggets. Okay, 28 units. Let's try the Stream Raiders again. Well, this is certainly a lot better than last time. Awesome. Hey, we can start a new page now. Right, where are we? So make a break for the cave entrance, leave them to it, watch them. Let's see what they're up to. You stay hidden, getting a sense of the scale of the operation. There are at least 30 goblins inside the cave, each coming out every few minutes or so with a new pail of stones. Then there are other goblins working in the clearing with hammers, smashing the rocks into small pieces, extracting metals from inside, loading them into carts, and finally pushing the carts away down a wide track between the trees. It is quite some operation, but not without its weaknesses. There are too many goblins to create any kind of distraction, but they move away into the trees fairly often, and sometimes the cave is left unguarded. Ooh, let's go and see what's in the cave, shall we? You creep closer, moving around the side of the hill, nearer to the entrance to the cave. Then, when all is quiet, you seize your chance and race across the clearing to the mouth of the cave. You pause a moment at the cave mouth, but no one has seen you. Following the passage cautiously, you move between the cool rock walls of the mine, passing and ignoring ladders that lead down into the clamouring heart of the mine, where 100 goblins sing as they work. Eventually, you reach a junction. Oh. Right or left? I don't know. Let's go right. You follow the passage to the right. It twists around deeper into the hillside and ends in a sealed wooden door. Oh, we've come this far, right? We've got to try the door. You try the door, locked. Oh, we can... The door open spell, right? Let's use that. Just DOP. So there's some that are really easy to remember. You cast the spell. The door shudders as its lock turns over, and then the handle moves of its own accord. On your guard, you watch as it swings open. The room beyond is large and appears to be a storeroom of some kind. In one corner is a pile of black rocks, and more rocks are held in a bucket nearby. These flicker with a dull, glistening light. But most intriguing of all is what stands in the centre of the space. A mechanical apparatus, perhaps a press or a stone cutter, being operated by a large and powerful ogre. Oh, good grief, look at that thing. He does not for the moment seem to have noticed you. Let's go for it, shall we? Let's go and say hi, ogre. Boldly, you step out of the doorway and into the pool of candlelight that fills the room. The ogre stops working immediately and turns to face you, growling incomprehensibly like the slug he is. You will not be able to reason with him. Let's go for a spell. Isn't there one that makes things do your bidding or makes you control? Create a shield. No, that's not what I wanted. Maybe it's A. Wall. I don't think that's right either. I know there is something to do with, like, controlling things, but I don't remember. Okay, obviously that's not going to work. I don't even remember a spell. Turn to stone? Why stone dust? Cause stupidity. Let's go for that one, right? cast the spell and wait for it to take effect. The ogre lunges, but then stops, shaking his head, looking at you, and then itself, with a puzzled expression. It takes a step forwards, then back. It is thoroughly confused. Pinch something and run, kill it, or leave it to its thoughts. Well, we're not going to come here for nothing. I don't know. I feel like if we... How long is the spell going to last? Maybe we should kill it. Pinch something and run? I don't know. What if it comes after us with a horde of goblins? That's not good, right? We're gonna have to kill it. I don't see if we've got any other choice. Oh, we still have to fight it. I thought if he was like stupefied, we could just run him the road. Okay, I'm not so impressed with my choice now. I think we're gonna have to just go straight out because I don't think he's expecting because he's like stupid. I think we've got to just go for it with the first hit. The ogre stomps towards you, stumbling and shuffling, but still huge and fearsome. It swings up its hammer, almost throwing it right at you. Taking a chance, you lever your sword for its thick neck as it tries its hardest to swat you like a fly with its enormous hammer. It staggers against the cave wall. It slowly growls at you. Uh, oh, so he can't fight to save his life. Dim was really good. Oh, okay. I didn't notice that. Thank you for pointing that out. You attempt an attack and suffer for it. The ogre raises his hefty hammer and brings it crashing down on you. You are caught off balance. Okay, we probably should defend and get some attack power back. You drop down, protecting yourself as the ogre jabs with its hammer. You step smartly aside. The ogre swings its hammer triumphantly up and gobbles with laughter. It raises its hammer up across its body defensively with almost drops it in the process. Stealing your courage, you move in, aiming to trap the ogre against the cave wall. You chase the ogre with a passing blow. It blocks your blow with its hammer. It is left breathless but otherwise unharmed. It sniffs the air. Okay, let's just go all out. Oh, he's not dead yet. You strike again, readying a forceful blow. You hurtle forwards. The ogre stumbles away, as though not seeing the blow would stop it landing. But then you see its hide is like tough leather. You can barely scratch it. Oh, this is not good. The ogre stumbles suddenly, crashing into the machine, which almost buckles under the weight. You lunge forwards again, moving swiftly. You aim for his heart. You then swing again, and the sword cleaves into the ogre's side. He gurgles unhappily as he slumps to the floor. You breathe a sigh of relief. You're still alive. Oh my goodness, look at the state of my stamina. Normally, you think the ogre's attack bar is like 8 or 9. Yeah, I'm not very good with the like knowing what to use and when with the fighting yet. I don't really get how you judge when to like go hard and when to. Yeah, I don't really get that yet. While the dying ogre heaves his last breath, you investigate the room. Try out the machine. Let's search the table first. You look through the heaps of rocks on the table to see if any catch your eye, but they seem fairly ordinary. Search the corners of the room. Moving to the corners of the room, you do a careful sweep. After a few minutes, you come across something soot-covered but solid. Wiping it with your tunic, you find it is a large gem, an emerald, about the size of your fist. It should be good for trade, around the value of 10 gold pieces. You place it carefully into your bag. Okay, obviously we've got to try out the machine, right? It's probably going to kill us or something. Going over to the enormous machine, you try cranking the handle to see what happens, but you simply do not have the strength to make it move. Following the tubes and chutes of the machinery, you discover a second large gem, which you take. You search the room thoroughly now. It is time to be going before someone comes to find the ogre. You head back to the fork in the passage. The sunlight from outside is very tempting. Ah. Okay, let's go and have a look the other way. I feel like statistically we should be leaving, seeing as we're ahead with our winnings, as it were. The passageway continues until you reach a large stone-cut door blocking your way forwards. For a mine, this place seems well built up. Perhaps it will serve as a camp if war comes. Try the door handle. You try the door. It opens. The room beyond is dirty with soot from the mine, so it could almost be a pit filled with night itself, with crystals in the rock for stars. In the far wall, you can just make out another door leading deeper into the mine. But in the middle of the room is a table at which a large, filthy goblin is sitting. He raises... Oh my goodness, we're for sure going to die now. We've got like 2 stamina left. He raises his head as you enter and smells the air. Perhaps he is almost blind from so long underground. You smell strange, intruder, he challenges. You were not permitted here. If you need healing, you can pray to the fox for healing. I choose my own way, draw my sword and see what he says, or leave. How do I do that? Do I have to just come out of... Oh, no, that's a spell book. Oh, I have L2. Your spirit is the fox. The fox is cunning and always has a scheme. He is a great burglar and dines well off those around him, who never seem to see him come or go. A prayer to your spirit will heal you, but after a prayer, your spirit will not hear you again for some time. Okay, let's pray for healing. Oh, that's pretty good, actually. Okay. I guess we're gonna fight. You draw your sword in reply. The goblin rises to his feet. In his hand he holds a large stone club. Maybe we can zap him with something. Requires 3 stamina. This better do a good job. You cast the spell and a bolt of lightning shoots from your fingertip at the goblin. He reels backwards and hits the floor, quite dead. With the goblin defeated, there is nothing to stop you moving further into the mine. Yeah, we're going to search this room first though, right? Before you move on, you quickly scour the corners of the dark room in case there are any gold or weapons lying around. You find nothing until you search the goblin himself. He is wearing a silver key on a chain around his neck. You lift it away. Now we go onwards. Time to see what more this mine has to offer. You open the door onto a pitch-black passageway. Is there a spell to make lights so you can see growth of darkness? I guess we can see what there is. Probably haven't got much stamina left though, right? I have no idea what spell would be useful here. Create wind. No. Find safe passage. Okay, that sounds like that might be good. 1 stamina, that's not too costly. You open the door onto a pitch black... you throw up the spell and then consider both directions. Inside your mind, you began to feel quite different as you faced the door as when you face back into the room. The pitch black passage deep into the mine evokes only a hot sweat, but looking back makes you feel calm. What does that even mean? I mean, I'm guessing there'll be some kind of danger, but I mean, okay, well, our stamina is low, and we can't pray again, I'm guessing. So perhaps we should go back. I thought this was meant to create safe passage. It hasn't really created safe passage. It's just given me a warning. I want to know what happens if we if we carry on, though. I'm such a glutton for punishment. You push on into the depths of the mine. Dust falls from the low ceiling. Your hand moves over the precarious wooden beams that hold the walls from tumbling in. Then you stumble, foot catching a support. The support cracks. A piece of rock the size of your head tumbles through a gap in the ceiling, narrowly missing your skull. A rain of stone and dust follows. The ceiling is coming apart. I don't know. Let's see what we're going. You are gripped by an insane idea, racing into the darkness of an unknown mine as the only exit is sealed off behind you. Do it. This is insane. The crashing shaft behind you lends you speed, then suddenly you gasp as your foot fails to touch the ground below. I'm falling. Oh dear, are we dead? You begin to drop. There can only be moments. Concentrate on landing well. How can you land well if you can't see? Let's cast a spell. Sense danger. I don't see how that's going to help. What else have we got? Fall. Float in the air. Okay, well this sounds perfect. You cast the spell and your fall is broken instantly. You float gently to the ground below, landing softly on your knees. Sense danger. Yes, you are in fact in danger right now. Yeah, I was guessing after the previous spell that it might be a bit useless to cast that one. The base of a pit. I don't think we've got much choice, so we're going this way. You pick yourself up and look around. You are at the base of a deep shaft. It's hard to be sure how far you've fallen, but the top is lost in darkness. Still, it's not pitch black down here. A chink of light penetrates from somewhere far ahead. A crack nearby or a tunnel mouth a long way off? You cannot tell. Calmly and without delay, you start to walk towards the point of light. It gets larger, but slowly, and your hopes lift with every step. It's definitely a way out. You can see the sky beyond. Your hands are running along the tunnel walls to keep you straight. Then the ceiling comes down and you crawl for a few feet. Then you freeze. Your hand is resting on something furry. I don't know. I feel like I need to feel what it is. Pull back, draw myself. I don't know. You reach out with the thinking that whatever it is at least small. Your grip closes on the thing. It's not warm. That's a good sign. And it squashes easily as if its bones had been turned to jelly. You pull it closer to yourself and realize you are holding a pair of fur boots. You laugh with relief and quickly scramble the rest of the way along the tunnel to the sunlight. It's an opening. The climb out of the cave takes several hours, but it is worth every moment when you emerge into the cool, fresh air once more. You have escaped with your life. Let's check out the boots. You turn the boots over in your hands. You recognize the fur. It is borin skin. They will be very useful if you head through snowy climbs. Then it is time to get moving. You set off once more, looking for a path to get your bearings in the trees. The path climbs again up a low hill covered over with thick bushes and shrubs that snag at your clothing. Halfway up, you hear a sound, twigs breaking. Oh, let's just listen and see what happens. Let's just wait. You freeze as a large creature the size of a bear emerges directly in front of you. It has black and white fur and a long bushy tail that trails out behind. It growls menacingly. We've only got 2 stamina. I don't think we can attack. Perhaps, if you are careful, you can slip around it. Edge to the left or edge to the right. I don't know. You try to slip towards the bushes, but clearly something about you, or what you carry, attracts the beast's attention. As it sniffs the air and then moves towards you, its sharp teeth on display, you will not be able to avoid a confrontation. The creature is a skunk bear, and when it raises its tail, it releases a nauseating odor. The smell that hangs around is terrible. Okay, I hope we've got enough to cast a spell, because I don't think we've got enough to fight, that's for sure. I think we'll go for this. Isn't there something to do with controlling animals? One of the spells. Control non-intelligent creatures. Oh, we don't have 3 stamina. Oh, this is bad. This is really bad. Is it time enough to pray? Can I pray? Is it like, no, we can't. Okay, let's see what other spells we have then. Sap, I don't remember what that does. Causes depression. Should we make the animal so depressed that it refuses to fight? I feel like I've got to try this just to see what happens. You launch the spell, and the snarl on the face of the creature turns into a glum glower. It's still coming at you, but only half-heartedly. Oh no. Swiping with idle claws, you draw your sword. Oh, good grief. We've got 1 stamina. Like, this is us dead, right? The miserable creature has 2 main weapons, its long claws and its terrible smell. You drop around a tree and raise your sword, ready to defend yourself. Slowly and sour-faced, the monster lumbers forward. You brace yourself as it comes down. The skunk bear beats the air with its thick tail. Oh, okay, that's bad. The skunk bear charges and leaps, and you are spared by your reflexes. You stagger, and the bear, sensing your weakness, stomps over and lifts its tail directly above your face. The smell is excruciating, and it fills your being with a foul, rotting stench. That smell is the smell of your death, and the last thing you ever experience. Oh dear, poor Lullaby is dead. So if you try again, I mean, I don't see how we can do this with just 1 stamina, right? Does it allow you to go back to previous points in the story if you fail? It rears back, claws raised. I don't know. That didn't do much damage. You think the fight is possible with 1 stamina? Really? Evidently afraid of you, it stumbles away, tail whipped high. I think we should go all out again. Oh, it's not taking much damage at all. It drops on all 4s and roars moodily. Maybe we should defend. It's about to use its skunk tail again, isn't it? You can almost smell the creature growing enraged and duck quickly behind a tree. The skunk bear turns to lift its gigantic tail, but you see the smell attack coming and run out of the reach into the trees, gagging on the smell. Oh, flawless fighting trophy. That's the first trophy we've got, I think. Screaming, you rush at the skunk bear. Then your sword finds a soft place in the skunk bear's body. The beast roars and tumbles to the ground, quite dead. No stamina loss, flawless fighting. Awesome. Oh, wait, it's depressed. The fight is actually unlosable if you do everything correctly. Oh, okay. So I'm guessing that's why, because previously I've always lost, even when defending, I've still lost stamina. But with that fight, I wasn't losing anything. So I guess it was because of that spell. So I actually, considering I was laughing about the depression spell, it was actually quite useful. With the creature defeated, you wipe your sword clean and leave the place behind. The path leads down through another valley and back up another hill. 2 hours pass. What's this? No decision is permanent. Press L1 at any time if you want to scroll back and try a different path. Okay, that's interesting. Approach Kristatanti. The sun is now just past its zenith, and everywhere a dusty heat rises from the baked earth. You are worn out, almost to the point of physical collapse. You need food and rest, and no more trouble. Today has been too punishing already. You begin to think about where you will stay for the night. Another night sleeping out in the open would be best avoided, but then you see a small village set in a hill. Yeah, I don't really want to get attacked by bats again. Let's go and have a look. Smoke rises from the stacks. The houses are well set, with stone at their bases and thatched roofs of grasses and thick leaves. There is unusually more than just the one street running through the centre of town, but it is as though this place, once rich, has had its heart scooped away. Litter surrounds the buildings, and on the edge of the village are rows and rows of empty abandoned houses. You continue your slow trudge along the path. Well, if they're abandoned houses, surely we could just keep in one of those. Normally when you defend, you take 1 damage. Here, because it was depressed, you can defend as much as you like and take no damage. And then you only stab it when you're back to maximum power. Ah, okay. Yeah. So that's probably a good idea to cast that then every time you go into a fight with low stamina, if it gives you the opportunity, I guess. Avoid the village, enter the village. No, we're going to enter the village. You walk into the village. Young hill dwellers pass you and stare at your strange clothes. Their own attire is rough by comparison to your gear. They wear their hair long, but piled up on their heads. These people are ghastly poor. The village is like a ghost town, here on the knife edge of the backlands. Rest at an inn, talk in an alehouse. I think we'll go to the inn. You stop a passerby and ask for an inn, and they lead you there directly. The woman who runs the place stands in the doorway with her arms folded. "Are you from the king?" she demands. Well, do these people like the king? Do they hate the king? I'm guessing they probably, if they're in that bad a state, maybe don't think the king's that great. I don't know. Let's just go for no, I'm a mere traveller. The woman narrows her eyes at you. This is a guest house, the best in Kristatanti. Only guests stay, and any guest of mine knows it costs me 3 gold pieces to host a traveller overnight, and 2 to feed them. But it's all between friends. Oh, we've got the Stream Raiders. That was really quick. Let's go and do that quickly. Well, we did better with the boss fight, right? Unlucky. Okay. This seems to be really expensive. Like 3 gold pieces to just to sleep, and then two. I haven't even got. I don't know how many I've got. 20 or something, and then two to be fed. That's 5 gold pieces. That seems like a lot. But we do need to rest, so I'm going to take a room and then just maybe eat our rations. The woman shows you the way upstairs to a room. There are 3 other guests already staying and asleep, so you settle quickly. The bed is not clean, but is comfortable. It's not like 3 gold. I expect like pristine white sheets. After a long day and all its narrow escapes, you are grateful beyond measure for the rest. Okay, so we should probably eat as well. Before you close your eyes, you quickly eat the last of your provisions. You feel better for it, and it will help you sleep. Sleeping doesn't like give you that much though. My stamina should be like maybe we should pray as well to get it full. I don't know. Your dreams are vivid once again. You are walking endlessly, the hills moving up and down under your feet like a rippling sea. Every step exhausts you, but no step moves you forwards. This feels like my actual dreams. Meanwhile, a tall black creature strides towards you, wreathed in a foul-smelling smoke, and in the distance a deep voice is booming with laughter. The long, cruel fingers of one hand are curled around the metal frame of a crown, and with the other he beckons you forward as if into a trap. 3 gold for a room is nothing. You think it's the cheapest room for the entire series, really? Okay, I'll have to bear that in mind then. So how long until you can pray again? Because it's been like quite a while already. You wake early and sit for a moment, in no great hurry to leave the village. This is now the 3rd day of your journey, and the muscles in your legs are feeling lean and strong from so much walking. You spend a short while enjoying the peace, then unhurriedly collect your possessions and set off along the path. Kristatanti is surrounded by several miles of fields. It sits in a well-protected ring of hills and is close enough to the river to be reasonably prosperous. As you follow the path between lines of sun-baked crops, you come to a fork in the road. The right-hand way leads past a set of outbuildings, while the left heads directly off into the deep woodland. I don't know, I think I might want to check the buildings out, see if we can scavenge some more stuff, I don't know. You glimpse a few people at work by the buildings. There will be precious little company on your journey, so you should take it while you can. Approaching a low wall, you see a blind beggar, sheltering in the shade with his hand held outstretched. He hears your approach and clicks his fingers. Arms with you, for love of Sindlar, arms. I think we've got to give him something, right? Poor guy's blind. You place a coin in his outstretched hand. You are a kind traveller, the beggar says. He feels over he fills over the surface of your coin and then bites down it. Why me? This is gold piece. You are too generous to a poor sightless beggar. You'll get me killed if anyone knows I have it. The beggar beams up at you. So in Sorcery 1 and 2, the timing between praying is kind of inconsistent and random. Okay. You just need to try it at various points and see if it's available again. Is it better to kind of use it to replenish your stamina like whenever it's available, or just use it, save it for emergencies? The beggar beams up you. Look after yourself. It won't last. Look after yourself, you say, preparing to walk away. Wait, he calls. 1 moment, please. He begins to scrabble around, feeling over his body as if looking for holes. Eventually he cries, "Aha!" and pulls out a copper key, which he holds out to you. What is that? You ask cautiously. Years ago, I lived in Car, he explained. Is it pronounced Car or Carre? Car was my home, and in the city port I watched over prisoners in the jail. Beware the red eyes in Car, or my fate will befall you, and you'll be here with me begging for your living. Um, what are the red eyes? Pray you never find out. In his simple reply, listen to me. Car is wary of strangers, but this key will help you be captured. What? But this key will help you if you be captured by red eyes. Trust old me. As the man talks, you step quickly out on the road. As an ox cart whips past you, raising dust, it does not stop. I guess it's not going to hurt to take the key. You take the key and put it safely in your pack. Thank you, you say, and then move on. You follow the path away from the village for half the morning. The walk is easy. It feels as natural as breathing to have the road move beneath your feet. Hard to believe you trained for this journey so long, now that you are on it. You climb a little, tracing the side of a group of trees until you meet a fork in the road. You could continue straight on and upwards, or turn west a while. Let's carry on. You continue along the path, climbing. Your legs feel strong and lean. By the end of this journey, you will be built like a mountain goat. The afternoon progresses, long and easy. This place you are walking through seems thick with desolation, as if it was long ago abandoned. And then, as if to confirm your thought, you come across two enormous stone pillars, listing slightly either side of the road. They form a gate, but the gate is 3 times the height of a man. The downside of praying is that normally, if you are in a deadly trap, you can pray for your God for divine intervention so as to escape. Okay. However, if your prayer is off cooldown because you used it to heal, then your God won't save you. Okay. That's good to know. Let's have a look. Peering closely, you make out the faded remains of carved characters in the old script L and K, the remnant of a spell of fortune perhaps, or of binding for these now fallen stones. I don't know, I feel like, are we not meant to cast a spell here? Go back, go the other way? No, we're going to go through. There is nothing for it but to go forwards. You step into the shadow of the enormous gate. The ruins of walls line the path either side, but these are walls built from blocks the size of ox carts. Centuries ago, this must have been a place for a king 12 feet tall. Now it's been levelled, and the stones stolen for the field walls and foundations of the villages all around. Let's investigate the ruins. You take a moment to clamber out over the ruins and off the path until you are surrounded by waist-high grasses. The ground rises and falls sharply around the outlines of houses and buildings. You trace the line of a street wide enough to run 3 carts abreast that leads quickly downhill towards a forest. Once this place was rich and plentiful. What happened here to remove every last trace of these colossal people? Let's have a look inside a house. You stop by the edge of a house. The side wall only stands as high as your knees. Grass nods above it. Looking inside, you can make out the edges of the fireplace, the black wall, and an adjoining area, perhaps a grain store or a bedroom. You take a few moments to search through the long grasses and find nothing until your hand closes on a clay pot near one wall. It is the shape of a wine jug, but about 3 times the usual size. Around the neck is a red stain. Wine, or maybe blood? It is impossible to tell. The base of the pot has been smashed away, perhaps by age, perhaps by someone unhappy with its contents. You leave the pot behind. You follow the line of the street down the slope of the hill. The further you go from the path, the more overgrown the ruins become, until you can barely make out their outlines at all. After a while, you are not following the street at all, but simply holding the same line. You approach the edge of a thick woodland. There's no clear path here, and the street has disappeared from view. The going into the trees is difficult, but you push your way forward as best you can, and stop when you come across a large standing stone. Another gate? You go over to the stone and examine it more closely. Not a gate. It is an idol, a gigantic stone head carved with deep open eyes and an open mouth. Around the lips is a dark red stain, the same as the pot. Looking left and right into the trees, you are startled to see more stones, more idols with open mouths, leading off in both directions. All face back towards the ruined village, as though forming a wall or an approaching army. Something terrible happened here. Stealing your courage, you slide your hand into the mouth of the idol. It is so deep you reason something must be concealed in there. And sure enough, your grip closes on something. Something hard but light. Treasure, perhaps? You pull your hand out to see what you are holding. Nervously, you open your palm. Teeth. Gigantic teeth. You are holding 3 giants' teeth. Isn't there spells that use teeth to be cast? Maybe these will be useful for that. Perhaps every idol holds the same, or perhaps the other idols hold kneecaps, arm bones, jaws. You press on. Trees and thorny bushes snag at you as you walk, and eventually, after chopping and hacking your way through, you see a space ahead, a path. You push forward and then stop for breath, grateful to have solid ground to walk on once more. You walk for several hours, following the twists and turns of the path through the trees. Then suddenly you stop. You have heard a noise up ahead. Something is moving around between the rocks at the edge of the path. Let's wait and look. You hang back watching the trees. There is definitely something moving around. Something large and long with a tail that whips between the trees. But now that you've seen it, you're at a definite advantage. Let's go for a spell. Doze? Will that put it to sleep? That's got to be something like that. Right. Causes slowness. That might work. You draw out the spell and the beast slows down, looking suddenly very sleepy and slow. At this speed, you don't even need to fight it. You walk quickly away. The path winds a few more times around gigantic trees, thousands of years old, and then emerges onto a sudden plain, as if the forest had been scooped away by a gigantic hand. A river trickles thinly between short grasses, and by its bank stands a tiny village. Today has been mercifully short and uneventful. You have made excellent progress. With a decent meal and a night's sleep, your next day will start auspiciously. So you begin the gentle climb down into the village. You follow the path down into the village, passing a sign which declares it to be Dumpus. The streets are thin and narrow, and the buildings have been set close together as if trying to withstand a storm. There is a terrible smell hanging in the air. All in all, it seems an unpleasant place. Let's explore the town this time. Halfway along the track, you come across a couple of merchants' huts. You browse for items worth buying with your 15 gold pieces. Your attention is taken by a finely woven skull cap, a finely crafted sword, and a small bag of provisions. You pick up the skull cap and turn it over. Stolen from a priest of Dardulay, the merchant declares with pride. A fine piece of work, 4 gold pieces. You can tell from the feel of the cloth that it has no inherent magic, but it might be useful in spells. I have no idea what it'd be useful for. We definitely need food, though. Let's see. Oh. You examine the bag of food. There is about enough to last 3 days. 6 gold pieces, the merchant says with a smile. Good for a traveller, I'm sure. What did they? How much did they say the emerald was worth? I can't remember. The skull cap is used for the tell spell. Pay with the emerald. The emerald is worth 10. Okay, we're not paying with that then. You pay him 6 gold pieces and add the provisions to your pack. All except 1 ration, which you eat immediately to fill your starving belly. Let's examine the sword. Carefully you lift the long sword from the table and swing it through the air. It cuts with a finely carved edge. A fine piece of work, I'm sure you agree, the merchant enthuses. 6 gold pieces. Well, could we not get the cap and sword for the emeralds? There's no option to, like, do any deals here. I don't know. Is the sword any better than the sword I've already got? I don't want to waste my gold. I don't have that much. Oh, I suppose we're not going to find out unless we pay for it. You pay him 6 gold pieces and strap the longsword around your waist. You nod to the merchant. The merchant smiles. Is there anything else I can help you with? Is there any work? Yeah, I probably need to make some money, right? Is there any work to be had here? I need to earn some money. The merchant sizes you up. You look like a good worker to me. One of my friends needs some digging doing. I'm sure he would pay you and feed you for it. Digging what, you ask? The merchant shifts uncomfortably. Does it matter? You'll find out. He stares at you. So he asks. He looks over his shoulder at the path. I'm going that way myself. You coming? Follow the merchant. Yep, let's go make some money. He leads you to a house on the edge of the village and introduces you to the householder, a stout man who is probably incapable of lifting a spade, let alone digging with it. What is it you need doing? Cesspit, the man replies. Out back, needs digging. Great. How much? Well, the man replies, it's pretty urgent. The old one's overflowing. How much money? You demand. 3 gold pieces, he replies. Okay, I'll do it. Spades out back, he replies, with a jerk of his thumb. You walk through the man's house into the back garden. The smell is terrible. The job is not just to dig out a new cesspit, but to dig over the old one. And it's going to be several hours' work that'll probably take the whole night. You collect the spade stuck in the ground by the hole. Ooh, can we get this done quicker by a spell? Maybe. I have no idea what spell we might need for this. Okay, why give me the option of putting in D in if I can't actually use it for anything? Grow in size. If I'm big, will I be able to dig quicker? I don't know, it's worth a try. You cast the spell and wait for it to take effect. You then feel the spade turn from a heavy tool to a mere toothpick in your hand as you swell to 3 times your usual size. You have the digging work done in barely any time. Perfect. You go back into the house and collect your money, 3 gold pieces. The grateful householder also provides you with some food, as well as a space on the floor to rest for the remainder of the night. You settle down happily and are quickly asleep. You dream strange dreams as you sleep. It seems as though you wander through the doors and hallways built 10, 20 times your height. You are an insect, and the hills over which you walk are the follicles of hair on the shaved chin of a giant. Storms of hot, fetid breath seem to sweep across you, threatening to blow you down into hell. Overhead, you fancy you hear the flap of giant wings. The birdmen came for the crown. Perhaps before its journey is finished, they will come for you. Okay, I guess we're on our way out. You rise early, dismiss the attentions of the householder, and head out into the street. Within a few minutes of walking, you are out of Dumpus and back on the road. After another hour or so, the way branches, with one path heading up until the hills, and the other turning downhill and along one side of a barren stony ridge. It is... Is that a village you can make out on top of the hill? It seems a lonely place for it. The gentle upward slope becomes a steep climb, and you are forced to rest several times. So far you have been walking through the foothills, now the journey will become more serious. When finally you reach the summit, you can look out over the low plateau you have crested. You see the path runs through a small settlement of crudely fashioned huts. Oh, this looks really grim. There are villagers out on the street, talking and working. It seems a happy, bustling place. There seems no obvious danger. You approach along the path until you are close enough for the villagers to notice you. The effect is immediate. They begin to scurry inside their huts as if you were an army, not a lone traveller. You cannot help but notice what a sorry bunch they are, squat and short, and all limping strangely. Their bodies are thin and malnourished, and as they disappear through their doors you notice some are missing limbs. You knock on the door of one of the nearest huts. There is no reply. Enter the hut, enter another hut. I don't know. You push your way inside. You find the place to be an impoverished hovel. The hut has no furniture. A small fire burns in the middle of the floor, and by the far wall an ill-looking family is huddling together. The woman lifts a shaking hand as if to hold you back. You put out your hand to greet the man. He shuffles over nervously and grasps it with feeble strength. Are you a magical stranger? Are you not afraid of us? Oh, good grief, what have I walked into? Afraid? Why? Why, he replies. Don't you know? We have the plague in this village. You spring back for him, but it is too late. You can feel the infection on the palm of your hand like a curse. Oh, good grief. Why didn't you warn me? The man looks at you with wide, sorrowful eyes. I dared to hope, he whispers. You take another step back in fear and regret. You have but a few days. Ah, can we fix ourselves with magic? There is no question. You must do what you can for these people. I don't know. What can we do? I don't remember reading it. I didn't read the entire book, but I don't remember reading about healing spells, but there's got to be something like that in here, right? Cause fear. No, they don't. We don't want to cause fear. Hold on a minute. Is that another letter? Well, you can't have a K after... No, okay. Let's try this. I find this a bit faffy. Rock, turn to stone. No, that's not going to help. Fun fact, if your character is evil, you lose the option of shaking the hand and therefore can't catch the plague. If your character, so if you like do bad things, your character becomes evil. Is it kind of like it affects your like the way things like you know the game Fable, the way your character changed in that? Is it something similar to that? If you kind of take negative actions. Let's try an N. Create stench. How is that going to help? That's just not helpful. Have I tried all of these? No, I've already done that one. Hold on, is there not? There we go. Oh no, this isn't going to work. Cause stupidity. No. Dim. What's this one? Ah, doc. That's gotta be something good. Heal disease. Requires a medicinal potion which we don't have. Okay. I have no idea where you get those from. Maybe from a vet, like a market or somewhere. I don't know. So I'm guessing there's not anything we can do. Did we try this one already? I think we've tried them all now. Yeah. Your character has hidden characteristics like intelligence, honor, generosity, which do slightly change the game text. For example, an evil character might insult someone, where a good character would be polite, and they rarely change what options are available. Oh, okay. I think I've tried all of these now. Okay, I don't think we can do something else. What? What can we do? Fear overtakes you, and you race out of the door and do not stop running until you are clear of the accursed village. Right, how many days have we got? Can we pray now? Will this, like, heal us from this? A prayer to your spirit will cure the plague, but after a prayer, your spirit will not hear from you again. Okay, we need to get healed. Your spirit has heard you. You will receive no further help for some time. You are on your own. I feel like I need to help them though. I feel really bad that I didn't help them. The path beyond the village heads downhill once more between thick trees before turning into a narrow goat track that crosses a rough peak. From the summit you get a wide view. Ahead down a steep slope, the next village is sprawled out before you, and even from here you can catch the sound of merry voices and shouting from the streets. It must be a carnival. You look right. You hear a roaring noise and can just make out a beautiful, majestic waterfall plunging from a cliff into a great rock bowl. You watch for a few minutes, marvelling at how clear the water seems. Then it is time to move on. You follow the track down a steep decline. Some way down the hill you stop for a rest and sit on a boulder to survey what lies ahead. The path leads downwards, and at its foot, cradled between three peaks, is a village, and quite a large one at that, compared to the mournful spot you just passed through. Behind you the sun is falling rapidly into the hills. It will be night soon. The village looks like a good place to stop. You hop down from the boulder and make your way forward, when an overhanging branch touches your face and you hear a lively chirping. You turn quickly around. Hovering by your shoulder is a small creature the size of a bird. It is childlike but very thin, with green skin, and it flits around you on transparent wings. It's a fairy! It seems friendly enough. It even lands on your shoulder, its tiny clawed toes pinching slightly. You will get an opportunity to save the village at some point in the future if you pick the correct options. Okay. Let's talk to it. Greetings, little creature. And hello to you, the creature replies, chirping. My name is Jan. What are you? The creature does a backflip and gives a low bow. I'm a Minimite. Pleased to meet you. It reaches out a tiny hand and shakes your earlobe. What can you tell me about the village? You point down the valley. Is it safe? That's Biratanti. And it's very safe. It's the largest village in the whole of the Shamatanti Hills. Every traveller who comes this way spends at least one night there. So it's a little bit expensive, especially for Minimites, but pleasant enough. The creature starts hopping up and down. Come on, it grumbles impatiently. Let's get going, can't we? What do you want with me? See that village, the creature replies. Last time I tried to go through, they told me I wasn't welcome, so I wouldn't mind some protection. Okay, we'll go. I can protect you. The creature squeezes your shoulder gently. It's like having a spider trying to burrow into your skin. The creature flits to your other shoulder once more. You're not in any hurry, are you? It observes. Do you want to sleep out in the rough? Well, let's get going then. The creature shakes you by the ear in excitement, and you set off along the path once more. You descend into the bowl of the valley. The hills on either side are toweringly tall and throw the village into deep shadow. It would seem a very gloomy, threatening place, but from the streets come the distant sound of laughter and merriment. Okay, 1 unit. I think we might give up on the Stream Raiders for this stream. It's not going too well. Let's watch this epic failure. I don't think I've ever had to do like a solo Stream Raiders before. Yep, as I thought. Okay, I'm going to leave the Stream Raiders for today, and we'll do more Stream Raiders tomorrow. Okay, let's enter the town. You continue along the path. The sound of festivities grow louder. It's almost spooky here in the shade of the valley, and after so long on the dire road. The people in this village seem to be enjoying themselves. See? The mini mite on your shoulder remarks, I told you it was a happy place. Jan, what's going on here? Are they bewitched? Jan shakes his head. No, if there was magic, believe me, I'd know. This is the festival of the young. What is that? Well, take a look. Jan waves a little hand around the village. The idea is that once a year the children are allowed the freedom of the village. It is a time of great fun and lots of pranks. It becomes quickly obvious what he means. You pass the first few buildings where you find a number of children sitting in the street and drinking ale from deep mugs. Further on, a young boy is holding an old woman over his knee and spanking her. On the other side of the street, a group of boys is fighting outside a hut with a sign that reads Glandragor's Tavern. It's all complete mayhem. You stride over to the boy, intending to rescue the woman, but as the sight of your manner and sword, the boy puts her down and gets to his feet. And what are you about? He demands. I'm the leader of this village for today, and I say, go to bed. Okay, let's laugh at him. You laugh at the boy. He is quite clearly enraged and lets up a hollering cry. Suddenly there are 100 children around you. Oh, goodness. And not all beggars, but well fed and armed with sticks and pitchforks. Jan is making a hissing noise in your ear. Better run for it. Okay. Swallowing your pride, you turn and race out of the village. The children follow, standing by the gates, waving their impromptu weapons. Well, Jan sniffs, you're quite the warrior, aren't you? Well, you told me to run for it. You make your way out of the village and into a stand of tall dry trees under the overhang of one of the cruel mountainsides. Between curling roots you find a small place to settle down and rest. Jan perches a little way above on a knot and is quickly asleep. You are tired enough to follow suit, but you are hungry from not having eaten. You pull out some of your food and eat quickly. The night's darkness draws in around you. In the distance you hear screams and whoops from the village that only slowly fade. You feel lonely, distanced from such revelry. You rest your head onto your backpack and close your eyes. Perhaps a few hours pass when you wake suddenly, aware of a shadow moving between the tree trunks. It turns as it sniffs the air, a wolfhound. Let's see. Should we go for a spell? this? Course? Lively dancing. Okay, maybe not that one. Grow in size, that's a possibility. Oh, come on. Why can't I? Oh, we just missed. There we go. Law. Control non-intelligent creatures. Let's go with that one. You cast the spell, but strangely, nothing happens. Oh dear, is he intelligent then? The wolfhound wheels round. You must defend yourself against him. You draw your sword, the long metal flashing in the moonlight. The beast roars and howls. The wolfhound creeps towards you, jaws dripping and fur shining wet. You raise your sword to defend yourself, fearing the monster will spring. It bounds forward. You are shaken but unharmed. It howls and whimpers. You put all your strength into a sweep of your blade, hoping to finish the creature in a stroke. The wolfhound drops back. Is he about to pounce? Perhaps we should defend. The wolfhound circles you, snapping at the air. You wait, eyes fixed on the beasts. It is tensing, preparing to pounce. You stay crouched on the defensive. The wolfhound runs for your neck. In the nick of time, you dive aside. You bring your sword about for a vicious blow, but the wolfhound turns tail. Oh, that wasn't good. Probably should have defended there. The wolfhound snaps at you. You react on instinct, dodging around a tree for cover. It scrapes at the ground as if digging its own grave. You put all your power into a sweep of your blade, but the wolfhound races away. Oh, I think probably need to defend now to get us attack power back. I'm not really very good at this. You're panting with exhaustion, but still hang back, afraid of the creature's snarling jaws and dripping fangs. The wolfhound runs for your throat. Without a heartbeat to spare, you leap out of the way. It moans and howls. Okay, I'm really not very good at judging when I need to, like, go full out attack. Ouch. You feel yourself on the edge of death. It slinks away into the trees, only to emerge from another side of the clearing. This is really not good. Okay, I don't think we've got much choice here. We've got like one stamina left. I think we're just going to have to go all out. You put all your power into a sweep of your blade. The blow connects. As the wolfhound weakly opens its jaws to bite, you plunge your blade between its teeth and all the way down to its heart. The wolfhound howls a gurgling, blood-soaked sound, and then it dies. 12 stamina lost. Shameful. So you can actually try the fights again. Okay, this might be useful because it might help me get a bit better. How do you tell when you need to go full on and when you need to just do the small? I don't really. I know like it explains in the tutorial, but I don't really get how you tell what it's going to do next. Whenever I go for it, he does like bigger attacks than me. The aim is just to get a higher number than the enemy. The wolfhound can't get higher than a 6, which means you need to do a 6.1. How do you know how much it... Yeah, but how do you know that? So it's to do with what it says on the sword, on its blade, the 5.2. The wolfhound's attack bar has size 6. All the wolfhound attacks are going to be somewhere between 0 and 6. Okay. I still got shameful. It's not as wasn't as bad as the previous time though, right? Let's continue. The beast defeated, you pause to regain your breath and wipe your sword. Then, once satisfied, you lay down again and try to sleep. Jan flutters down and resettles on your shoulder. Your dreams are full of plagued victims, their faces raw with boils and streaming sores. The rest of the night passes silently. Does she ever have, like, nice dreams? You rise early from your spot beneath the tree. As you gather your things, Jan leaps up and onto your shoulder. Ready to go? He chirps. You rejoin the path on the far side of Biritanti. The sun sits on the horizon like a gleaming jewel. If all goes well, you will reach Torpani today, the last village in the Shamutanti hills. After a short climb, the path breaks, heading uphill to the left and downhill to the right. Oh, let's see what Jan has to say. He's been fairly friendly so far. Which way, Jan? To the right is a forest. To the left is the going is easier. The path heads through a field of black flowers to Torpani. A field of black flowers? What else do you know? You demand suspiciously. Nothing? Protests the creature. And that's a fine way to talk to your guide. I'm not charging you for my advice, you know. You'll get no more from the creature with Torpani so close. It hardly matters which way you go, surely. Yeah, but you say that. We are always going right in this playthrough. Right. And then maybe next time we'll go left. We go right, you decide. Then be on your guard, Jan warns you. You climb a rise, the way is not too steep, and as noon approaches, you have crested the ridge and are descending yet again. You are now at the highest point of the hills. Where the trees are thin, the view west goes on forever, and sometimes you catch glimpses of Car on the northern horizon. How much food do we have left? We do need some more stamina backs before we should eat. Taking a brief pause, you eat the last of your cheese and bread and feel better for it. Then you continue along your path. Jan is in a talkative mood and fills the air around with his chatter about what he can see and how things smell and what he plans to do once he makes his fortune in Car. You pass from the open hillside into a patch of deep forest. Quite suddenly, Jan falls quiet and hisses in your ear. Stop! Stop now! Why? Because, insists the creature in a tiny voice, because something is following us. You come to a dead stop. Jan is right. Something is moving through the trees behind you. A moment later, a point of steel has emerged from the darkness between two trees and touches your neck. You've seen me, whispers a voice. I know it. I see nothing, you call back. You are quite safe. It is not I who is not safe, returns the voice. Who's there? There is no reply, but the tall, dark figure of an assassin emerges from the trees. He is dressed head to toe in black, and you had not seen him a moment before, even though he had been standing a mere arm's length away. He wields a sharp scimitar in expert hands. Let's cast a spell. Probably going to be like zap, maybe, right? Hopefully ninjas are not resistant, not ninjas, assassins are not resistant to magic. You cast the spell, but nothing... Oh, great. Nothing results. I should probably tell you, Jan whispers. Mini-mites are protected by an aura. It is a curse sometimes, like now, because you can't cast magic while I'm nearby. And I'm not leaving while that assassin is there. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You bring your sword up to bear. The assassin bows to you, raises his curved sword in salute, and then takes his position. You drop into a defensive crouch immediately. The assassin is perhaps the most fearsome opponent you have so far encountered. He covers himself well. You hold firm and keep your defense. He hangs back and watches you without emotion. He's just waiting to see what we're going to do, isn't he? Let's just go for a little jab. Time to attack. You sting with your blade, low and fast, saving your energy, but the impact clangs against his turned sword. He grins. He is left breathless but otherwise unharmed. The assassin spins his sword about to shift the sword across his body. You drop yourself into a crouch. His light blow sails over your head, moving with the deadly speed of an attacking serpent. You are mostly unharmed. Acting quickly, you rush forward with a deep, heavy slash, but the blow jumps back. Oh. Closing his eyes, the assassin murmurs a quick prayer as he sets his stance. Right, I'm defending against that one. The assassin laughs. My duty is to sever your head from your neck, the assassin says, in a voice as cold as polished marble. You will not hold me from it. The trees watch as the battle unfolds. Relentlessly you cut and thrust, keeping him pinned. You twist and lower your sword quickly, but the impact clangs against his turned sword. He grimaces with effort. Blood drips from the assassin's tunic. He curses under his breath. Breathing deeply, the assassin whispers a mantra as he readies his blow. You are weakening. This fight is becoming serious. Yeah, don't I know it? You will die out here, the assassin says, his tone like ice. Okay, this isn't good. I mean, I've got one stamina left, so I don't really have much choice. Ooh, attack the weak point, trophy earned. Acting quickly, you swing a masterful swipe. He is off balance and moving slowly, and the blade goes deep. He turns and tumbles, releasing his sword as he topples. I am not so proud as to not admit when I am beaten, he groans. You may finish me if you so choose, but if you do, do me an honor and use my own blade. Shameful. I know, but I feel like I don't want to do that fight again. The assassin is not dead, but lies on the floor gasping. I'm not going to finish him. Then get up, you tell him, holding your sword back, but not putting it away yet. He nods and sheathes his own blade. You are a worthy victor. I am glad to meet you. Now you have saved me, you owe me in part. My name is Flanker, and I am an assassin and a thief. Does this mean he has to do my bidding? Okay, why did you attack me? It is a simple matter. I pick on wayfarers for practice in hiding and in killing. I assumed you would be no match, especially when I saw your pet. He points briefly at the Minimite, who is currently hiding under a fold in your tunic, but I see I was wrong. He bows his head once, perhaps in respect, perhaps from the pain of his injuries. You are travelling to Care? He asks. Why do you ask? That is the way I am going. Well, perhaps I will not see you again once we part now, but if I do, remember me. I will not forget the debt I owe you. What is your business in Care? You ask. He looks long into your eyes for a moment and then answers. The nobles of the city have heard rumors. Goblins are reopening the old mines. They want to know why. They are mining for emeralds, you tell him, remembering your finds in the goblin mines. They may find emeralds, Flanker replies, but it is not what makes them brave the abandoned shafts and workings. You know the history of these hills, perhaps. They have not always been so poor, so underpopulated. Once great and powerful men lived here, men of great knowledge and sorcery. And giants. Flanker shakes his head. The giants came after. The giants are what those great men became. The ancient miners once ran a great city spanning from the Karkabad Sea as far north to the Jaca mines. That was where they mined the ore and forged the crown. And it is that metal, that power, which the goblins are searching for. If Mampang should rise, it will be their only hope. Interesting. They must be stopped. Perhaps they will be. They say the ancients left terrible guardians behind. He bows his head again. This time it is definitely from pain. Go, he hisses. You cannot aid me. No, you reply. I have caused your wounds. I will help you. He grins with gritted teeth. Are you a doctor? I do not think you are. All right. Tearing strips of dark fabric from his clothing, you bind his wounds tightly, and the bleeding lessens. You are too kind to a man who was about to kill you, he murmurs. Let that be your lesson, you reply, as you gather up your things and head out of the forest, leaving him behind. You have a sense that you have made a powerful friend. Just out of interest, how long does it take to complete one book? Does it depend on the choices you make, or is there like a rough kind of time? How much longer do you think we'll be travelling today? The Mini-Mite on your shoulder asked. I think I almost forgot they were there. I'm hungry and tired. We've gone such a long way. Not much further. The Mini-Mite sighs and slumps onto your shoulder. You continue along the path and around the side of a hill. A wooden hut is set into the slope and an old woman sitting on the front step. A river seems to emerge from beneath her. As you get closer, you realize the water flows underneath her house, and the house itself is set on splayed struts like an insect straddling the watercourse. A few places from the front of the house, the water plunges over the edge of a sheer cliff and disappears. You can look at the map to see how close you are. Oh, okay. I'm very close. Let's have a look. So what if I zoom out? Okay, I don't feel very close. That seems like it's still miles away. Is this like? But this is just for the first book, right? This map. Or does each book like continue on? I can't remember because it's been such a long time since I read the books. I don't even remember if I finished them, to be honest. Greetings, you call. The woman looks up at you and smiles. Come over here, won't you? She calls. I can barely see you. You approach the old woman. She smiles a toothless smile and gets up from the step. Come in, please, she beckons. I get so lonely living out here on my own, away from the villagers. Yeah, I don't have a good feeling about this. Thank you. You follow her inside and take a seat by a long wooden table. I'll bring us some tea, she says. She sounds almost nervous. Hurrying to her kitchen, she returns with 2 large cups. Watch it, Chan whispers in your ear. I don't trust this one. Let's make conversation. The tea is still hot. You cup it between your hands as you speak. This is a beautiful place, you remark, watching the river outside, the door plunging away over the cliff face. This is the top of the crystal waterfall, she says. The river runs right under my house. They say it carries all my goodness and youth away while I sleep, and the villagers bathe in it for luck, she giggles meanly. I'm sure it isn't quite true. Why do you live alone? It must be more dangerous. Oh, she smiles sweetly. No one bothers about me. Why would they? You can't help but notice she has not answered the question. What's your name? They call me Garza Moon, she replies with a smile. I used to be quite well known in my way. You nod, but you have never heard of her. You make to sip your tea when the old woman stops you, catching your arm before the cup reaches your lips. Oh, she says suddenly. I've forgotten the pot. She goes back to the kitchen to fetch it. Switch cups with her? Let's do that. While she is away from the table, you switch the 2 cups around. Then when she returns, you lift the one closest to you and drink. A sudden, deep pain, oh great, grips your stomach and you double over. You wince and cough as you find yourself seizing up. Oh, suspicious stranger, laughs the woman. I can count on travellers suspecting my witchcraft. You try to shout out, but are paralysed and quite powerless. The old woman begins to search through your bag. Jan flits about in some distress, unsure what to do. Then, with a coo of delight, she pulls out the spellbook page you were given by an old man in the tree. My book, she cries. The missing page. Why didn't you tell me you had my missing page? She scurries off into the kitchen and returns with a cup of liquid, which she pours into your half-open mouth while clucking and stroking your head. It is an antidote, and you feel your body slowly unfreeze. Finally, she slaps you to bring you around. What is the spell, you ask? It is a spell of pest repulsion. You've no idea how useful it is around here. She shakes her head. 4 days ago, I was visited by a traveller such as yourself, but when I was away making tea, as I always do, he started leafing through my book and tore out a page. He must have been a wizard of power because he vanished almost too fast for me to curse him. What curse did you cast? Well, you saw him, she replied. I aged him. Didn't stop him escaping, though. She fusses with the page, repairing her spellbook with some gentle magic. Shall I show you how useful the spell is? She says. What do you mean? Well, she makes a little gesture at something behind you. How can I put this? You're sure you don't want me to rid you of a pest? And you realise she is looking at Jan. I'll keep him. Really? She looks surprised and then shrugs and slams shut the book. Well, it's your cat's funeral, as they say in Car. She gets to her feet. You'd best be going. Jan hops onto your shoulder, whispering profuse thanks into your ear, and you leave. It is now late afternoon. You pass over the brow of the next hill, and below you is the village of Torpani, slung from one side of the valley to the next like a flood barrier. Torpani is a village of the Svin, an aggressive-looking race of man-orcs. You might expect their village to be rowdy, but it seems strangely quiet. Still, there is no way round it. You will have to go through. You enter the village. There is a definite air of depression hanging over the place. The Savins are going about their business slowly and miserably and pay you no heed. You sit yourself down on a tree stump in the very centre of the village to consider your options. I'm the first player that you've seen who doesn't hate Jan and didn't immediately jump on the opportunity to be rid of him. I don't know. I don't feel like he's done anything particularly bad so far. There are 3 inns in the village, but 2 are closed down, their windows boarded and their thatched roofs rotting through. The third looks little better, but at least the door is open, and the smell of well-cooked food drifts out. From a sign by the doorway it seems that food costs 3 gold pieces and a bed for the night costs 5. How much gold have I got left? 6. Well, we haven't got any more food, so we're going to have to go in, I think. You push open the door and step into the dim interior. A rat scurries over your foot and disappears into a corner. An elderly Sven lady, bent double, stands by the counter tapping a long curved fingernail on the bar top. What do you want? She snaps. Just a meal. You count out 3 gold pieces, but don't hand them over yet. What are you cooking? Rat broth. And if that's not good enough for you, you can give up your hopes of better. She jerks a fingernail towards the dark back room. Go through and I'll bring it to you. I'm not eating rats. Seriously? No, I'm not eating rats. I'll wait here, you reply. Turn to stone doing it. If you like, the woman replies and hobbles through the kitchen. She returns a few minutes later with a bowl of stew, which you set about wolfing there and then. No. Jan watches you slurp and gobble with obvious distaste. Once done, you turn and leave. You are a traveller then? The crone calls before you can leave. Is that it? That's right, you reply. Don't get many travellers, the woman replies. Must be tired. Sleep upstairs if you want, for free. No, I don't trust her. You ignore her and head out into the street, intending to find somewhere to sleep under the stars. You walk out past the borders of Torpani and settle down under the trees. It's a quiet spot, and you are tired. Time to rest. You put your head down and try to sleep. Perhaps you manage a minute or perhaps an hour, but suddenly you wake, certain that something is moving in the bushes nearby. You sit up and unsheathe your sword, but there isn't a moment. Out of the bushes on either side, 5 figures leap forward, each grabbing a different part of your body. Oh my goodness. Your ankles are held, your arms too. The sword is wrenched from your grip. We got her, cries a Sven voice. Then they are hauling you bodily out of the thicket and along the path back to the village. Jan clings onto your shoulder, refusing to be shaken free. Let's pray, I think. In a whisper, you begin a prayer to your spirit, the ape, for aid. Nothing happens immediately. Then you reach a low hut and are thrown to the earth. Your arms and legs are released. Perhaps your spirit has heard you. You cannot be sure. But now that you have summoned the powers above, they will not help you again. Okay. This is not looking good. It's not looking good at all. The door is slammed and locked. A moment later it reopens and your possessions are thrown inside. Okay, that's weird. You pull your knees up to your chest and wait. Jan goes to sleep immediately. The long watches of the night pass slowly, and in the end nothing happens and no one comes. Physically you're exhausted. When the sun next rises, you are too weak to rise with it. Oh, good grief. Your journey has been too much for you. Your adventure is at an end. Oh, we got a trophy for dying. How lovely. Right. Well, it's nearly 10 p.m. here, and it's kind of the time I usually finish my streams around this time. So I'm going to take a break there, and we might be back with some more of this tomorrow, or we might be playing some more Potion Permit tomorrow because I still need to get the trophies for that. So I will still be playing that every now and then. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what I feel like tomorrow. But thank you, Random. I really appreciate all your help. You've been very helpful, and thanks for hanging out. And I'll see you all again very soon. Take care now. Bye bye.